So the big questions, the big mama juicy questions that you want to ask.
What's up, guys? How you doing? I'm Paul.
I'm Morgan.
And this is
The
Paul and Morgan, the Paul and Morgan Show. So we are doing a 5-part series. And we were pretty excited about it. Actually, one of our subscribers wrote in and was like, guys, tell us what intentional dating looked like for you all and break it down for us into some of the biggest categories. So we've picked the biggest categories and we think you guys are gonna like it. So today's video is the big questions that we asked each other. We believe there are some really important questions that you don't want to wait a long time into your dating to go ahead and get out there.
Make sure you stay tuned for our next video because episode 2 of this 5-part series is what we did together / how much time did we spend with one another. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe. We make Christian advice videos on life, love, and dating to help you have hope
and be free. Let's just go ahead and establish. Do you dive in to the big questions on the very first date?
Okay, maybe not on the first date, but I think, guys, within the very first few dates. You okay there?
Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry.
So you just want to make sure that you know these very important things before you are just too far in, and then you find out, and then you're like, now what do? Do I leave?
Yeah.
Well, I really like them, so I have to stay.
Yeah, then you start making excuses
and
compromising. Wow, I had no clue that about them, but you already were so invested that you start being like, well, okay, that's not that big a deal, when really it is.
All right, so first question that you could maybe ask is, say you are asking, you wanting to know where their walk is with the Lord, and you're like, hey, the Lord is my everything. He is my first priority. I'd love to know, where he is in your life.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fair question. Like, if the guy or girl can't answer that question, or they say, well, that's really personal to me, that should give you a good idea. And we're not trying to be mean here. Like, if they have an answer that, maybe just reveals that they're a weaker Christian or they're very new to the faith, we're not saying that that's a red flag and you need to dump them.
Right.
But it should just give you an idea of, who you're talking to.
Like my sister and I said in a previous video, you don't flirt to convert and you don't date to save. So, if you find out that this guy is not really walking with the Lord, or he's like, oh yeah, I go to church, when I have time. Like, I believe in God. Look, that's not the answer you want to hear if you want a man who is going to lead you in your relationship and in your, marriage possibly. And you don't want to be like, oh, well, he goes to church, so there's hope that, he's gonna, when we're dating, he could go to church even more and he could have a strong relationship with God at some point. And,
We get it. And ultimately, guys, these questions are super important, but the Bible says you will know them by their fruit. So sometimes you actually have to spend a little more time to see how they act and see if they're genuine in the way they're answering, because people can put on a good face.
Oh, yeah.
But nonetheless, you can still learn quite a bit from just asking questions.
What is another example question, Paul, that you maybe asked me?
Okay, I'll be up front. I asked Morgan very quickly on our first date, early in our first date, how serious she was about finding a husband. And it caught her a little bit off guard, but I just wanted to put myself out there and be like, hey, I'm not dating around just to date for years and years and years and years. I'm dating intentionally, looking for who I'm going to marry. And I needed to see if she was in the same ballpark or if she was way out in left field. If her answer would have been, oh, well, I'm just looking to have a good time and find somebody to hang out with. Because, I did date girls that would say stuff like that, like, oh, I don't see myself getting married for years and years because I want to focus on career or whatever else. You get what I'm saying?
Another question that guy or girl you want to ask in the first few dates is physical boundaries. Where are you at? Where's your mind? What are you thinking? Is it okay to kiss, on the first few dates? Is it okay to hold hands, blah, blah, blah? Where do you want to go with that?
Because you have a lot of people that are Christians that have a very different idea of what physical boundaries should look like.
For sure. I had been on dates before where it was clear that the guy was gonna be totally okay with maybe kissing on the first date and stuff like that, and it was like, okay, we need to talk about this first.
Don't just assume that you guys are on the same page, because you met this guy at your church youth group.
It's great to talk about physical boundaries. First date, second date, third date. I'd say very soon, early on. If you don't want to have an awkward encounter where the guy leans in for a kiss and you're like, huh? Whoa, what? Paul asked me a lot of questions on our first date. I literally felt like I was being interrogated in the best way possible, but I was being interrogated.
And guys, you want to be sensitive. Use common sense. I maybe went a little too far because of how intentional I was. I wanted to know, is this girl compatible? Like, is this girl someone I could marry? Because if not, I don't want to draw it out and go on a lot of dates. I was not mean with them. Like, I was not. No. I was, asking.
He was just very forward, and it caught me off guard every single question.
And that's just kind of how I rolled. Lock me up for being too forward and godly. I went ahead and was asking her questions about her family. Her relationships with her parents.
Just questions that help you get to know the person.
Yeah.
You want to know their relationship with their family.
And also just the way they answer. If you're going out with a girl or guy and you ask them, are you close with your mom and dad? And they start just talking all kinds of negative, mean stuff about their mom. It gets gossipy and stuff. Like, you can kind of be like, okay. Another big one is ask them about their vocation, their career. If they're like, I see myself overseas on the mission field. But if you feel like, oh, have this career here in the States that I feel the Lord leading me in, and they're seeing themselves overseas, that is a practical thing to think about. Not necessarily something you can't get past and pray about, but it's a practical thing.
I think, Paul, one of the questions he asked me was like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? One of the questions that I asked Paul was, how do you feel about stay-at-home moms? Like, would you prefer that your wife is a stay-at-home mom, that she takes care of the kids and you are the main provider, or what? Because I personally want to be a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to know if he was like up for that, or if he was like, oh no, I kind of like want to chase my dreams and I'm gonna need you to work.
Right, that's a good question. Another one with that is, how do you feel about kids? I mean, that's a big one. Some people, their immediate reaction is going to be, I'd rather not have kids for 5 years, for 10 years. Or I really want a small family, 1 kid, 2 max. And you're like, oh, but I grew up with 5 siblings. Like, I want to have a big family. Or someone might say, I really just don't want to have kids at all. And then you'd be like, oh, but I do.
Several people will message me and ask me, how soon can I ask, about virginity stuff, about whether or not you're staying abstinent.
Guys, be gentle with that.
Yeah, if you see yourself going on with this person, going on more dates, and like you can, because in the first few dates you can figure out whether or not you want to continue pursuing or not. I think it's absolutely okay after the first few dates to bring that up and just be like, hey, let's talk about abstinence. Are you saving it for marriage? Have you continued to stay pure? And if you have not, if you lost your virginity but you've repented from that, like, bring that up too. Don't hide that stuff, guys.
Yeah, I maybe would say don't push bringing that up on the first date, but like Morgan said, once you feel like, wow, I really could see something with this person, you want to go ahead and bring it up. And I would recommend you go home and you pray about it and see what the Lord puts on your heart regarding that situation.
Guys, don't forget to have fun in these dates. Although you're asking serious questions, it's a fun time.
It is, and that's just a balance that you're going to have to figure out. Because, you don't want to be too question, and it turns into an interview. Let us know in the comment section down below, what are some questions, what's one question that you feel like you should add to that list? Guys, give this video a thumbs up if you see yourself jumping into the dating game soon.
Shout out to our current patrons who are supporting us financially monthly. You guys are amazing. We love you so much, seriously. And we are on a mission to get to 250 patrons. When we hit that goal, we have several things that we're gonna do. We're gonna do FaceTime calls with 20 of our patrons, send out handcrafted gifts to several of you guys.
Even go take one patron out to lunch.
Yes, we're gonna find a patron or a few to take out to lunch and have some fun hangout time with y'all.
So help us reach that goal by becoming a patron and supporting what we're doing on this channel.
Also, if you don't want to be giving financially every single month, you just want to do a one-time donation, we have a Venmo account All the stuff will be linked below in our description box, so check it out.
So guys, as part 2, 3, 4, and 5 of this series come out, we will be dropping them below. This is kind of a full package deal, and we think you're going to get a lot out of watching the rest of those. Encourage you to do so. That's it. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll catch you again very soon. Have hope.
And be free!
So you've been getting so many comments on your hair.
You guys are so sweet. Seriously, thank you all.
Wow, it smells good too. I wish you guys could. Okay, not the guys. I don't want the guys smelling it, but I wish you ladies could smell it. That's kind of weird too. Go on.